Welcome to day 4 of 30 days of what me and my dog eat after 5 years on a carnivore diet. And for the first week or two, I'm just eating intuitively. And then moving forward from there, I'm going to be using what we've learned from the first couple weeks to create a nutritionally balanced carnivore meal plan using only carnivore foods. And at the end of each video, I'm going over the nutritional information. So that includes vitamins, minerals, calories, fat content, all that good stuff. So if you're new to Apex, my name's Jacob, and this channel is all about humans and dogs and the foods that bonded us. So if you missed the first 3 episodes, there's going to be a link in the description below where you can start from the beginning. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the future videos in this series. So I'm starting my day out today. I'm just getting some sunlight in my eyes before my workout. I've got my 32 ounces of water. It's Thursday, so it's another upper day for me. Tomorrow will be my lower day, and that will be my last workout for the week. But with that said, I need to go down here and get my workout in. I need to hydrate, and then I need to cook and eat my first meal of the day. That boy. That one. It's never a dull moment on the farm. Wild caught salmon fillet, right at 4 ounces. About a half a pack of 75-25 ground beef, 11 ounces. All right, my workout's done. Shawnee's finished fighting with that turtle out there, so I'm about to eat. Now, just like all the previous days, I am trusting my intuition. I'm going with whatever I basically feel like eating. Today, I don't know why, but I've actually been craving salmon for a little while, like the past couple days or so. So I'm gonna have a salmon fillet. I've got a wild caught salmon fillet, and I'm gonna have some ground beef on the grill. I'm cooking the salmon fillet on the grill as well. And then I've got about 3/4 of a pint of homemade bone broth. This is beef and chicken. And I did go through about 40 ounces of water so far. I've just refilled this back up and drank a little bit already. Now when I log this ground beef, it is gonna be 75-25. I'm gonna log it as 80-20 because I am gonna cook some of the fat off since I'm cooking it on the grill. And then I'm also gonna add in some more butter. I'm kind of feeling a little more high fat today for some reason, so I'll probably end up doing like a half stick of butter. So probably about 4 tablespoons. So I'm kind of excited about all the different foods I've been craving already, because as we go along with these videos, I'm going to use this nutritional data I'm capturing, and that's what we're going to use to see if we can create a more balanced and well-rounded way of eating on the carnivore diet, because there are some holes in nutrition right now. And what we're kind of seeing just even this early on is that just by making very simple changes, by adding in things like organs, that the nutritional content really changes pretty quick. And it doesn't take much food, it doesn't take much variation to make that happen. So by adding this fish in there, I'm curious to see how that's going to stack up. And once we get through dinner and stuff tonight and we go through the nutritional breakdown, we'll find out exactly what kind of an impact the salmon had on that. And something else that I think is important is that, you know, the mainstream would probably say, well, just add vegetables in there and you'll balance out your vitamin A, your vitamin K, you know, calcium, all these areas that we're kind of lacking so far. But the problem with that is that the nutrients in vegetables are always bound up by anti-nutrients. They're bound up by the phytotoxins, the phytochemicals in the plants. And all of those chemicals, all of those compounds in plants interfere with the absorption of those nutrients. So even though you have a high amount of nutrients in the plants, you're not actually going to be able to use most of that because it's going to be bound up by those phytochemicals. And the other piece to that is, unless you're growing your own food and you know exactly where it's coming from and you know what's in the soil, the food these days is so nutritionally void because it's grown in very depleted soil. So the data that they have on all these plant foods assumes that the plant is being grown properly, and it doesn't account for, you know, the soil being stripped of all the nutrients and the plant really not uptaking any nutrients. So plants may not be the best option when it comes to trying to balance out your diet, because when you consume animals and you consume animal products, the nutrients that are available are in the most bioavailable form that you can possibly get. Your body utilizes almost all that, and there's nothing in there that's going to interfere with the absorption, and it's much less taxing on your body, which is another reason why carnivore is so anti-inflammatory. All right, meal 1 about to be in the book. So I've got 4 tablespoons of butter, and I brought out another 2 tablespoons just in case, because I am feeling buttery this morning. I got some pink Himalayan salt, got my bone broth, And of course I have my burger and salmon here. All right, meal one's down. I did not eat the extra 2 tablespoons of butter but I'm sure I'll have this for dinner tonight. Alright, it's time for Shawnee's dinner. I got everything laid out here. So on the menu tonight, I've got 16 ounces of chicken leg quarter with a very large chicken back on top. I got that for $1.79 from a local butcher shop. So that's the cost of this pile. Next up, I've got 2 chicken feet, which is 3 ounces. I got those chicken feet for $2.24 a pound. 2 ounces is 42 cents. I got 3 ounces of chicken gizzard, which I got for $1.25 a pound. 3 ounces is 24 cents. I've got 4 ounces of ground beef, which I got for $2.99 from a local butcher shop. This is about 80/20, and 4 ounces is 76 cents. I got some butcher blend, which I also got from my local butcher shop for $2.49 a pound. This is 2 ounces, and 2 ounces is 32 cents. And this has organs in it. It has kidney, heart, it's got tendon, it has odd cuts from different animals, so very nutrient rich. Tonight I'm also adding a 1/4 teaspoon of colostrum and a 1/4 teaspoon of eggshell powder for a little extra calcium. And of course I have the bone broth heating up, which I'll dump right over top of the cold food to warm it up. So the total cost for this meal, everything that you see here, is $3.53, which equates to $2.08 a pound. Extremely affordable, extremely nutrient rich, and does not have all of the toxic stuff that you find in processed kibble. By the way, I'll put a link in the description below where you can download my free bone tip sheet, and that also has information about how to structure and proportion carnivore meals for your dog. Alright, pups fed, now it's my turn. Now I'm trusting my intuition. I just literally went in the freezer and just grabbed out whatever sounds good, and here's what I wound up with. Alright, so I have 6 ounces of lean deer neck venison, leftover ground beef from the half a pack I had this morning, right at 10 ounces. 3 ounces of beef fat trimmings that will get cooked in 2 tablespoons of beef fat that was strained off the hamburger from yesterday morning. So apparently I'm on a huge grill kick right now because I'm cooking this on the grill. And for the deer neck, I just cut it up into small strips because deer neck can be kind of tough to chew. So by cutting it up into the small strips, it should be a lot more tender. And this burger, it's 75/25, same stuff I had this morning. I will log it as 80/20 because some of the fat is going to get rendered off as this thing's grilling back here. All right, I got my leftover beef fat added to my cast iron skillet. I'm gonna heat this up, throw my fat in there. Alright, food's done. Meal number 2, day 4, is about to be in the books. So this entire meal is going to run me $4.82. Alright, so cost for the day, my breakfast this morning was $4.24. So the grand total for me eating 2 carnivore meals was $9.06. So under 10 bucks, again, pretty consistent, under $10, not too hard to do. And then if you combine this with what I fed my dog, her meal was $3.53. So for the entire day, for me and my dog, it was $12.59. So again, I say this in almost every single video, but the people that say carnivore is not affordable, it's just a false statement, because you can do it affordable. You don't have to go out and buy ribeyes every night. You don't have to buy these expensive steaks. You can buy one steak that's twice the cost of what I just fed myself for an entire day, but you don't have to do that. So I'm gonna sit here and eat this. As soon as I get done eating this, I'm gonna log the information for the food in the Chronometer, and then we'll go through the nutritional breakdown and see how this compared to yesterday. All right, that dinner was absolutely phenomenal. Fried out beef fat trimmings is one of the best foods on the planet. That's some good stuff. So all right, let's get into the nutritional information here. I'm kind of curious to see how this is gonna stack up compared to the days previously, since I added in a little bit of fish. All right, so daily calories, I was at 3,654 calories, all right, quote unquote calories. And that still put me at a surplus of 537 calories. So technically 500 calorie surplus, I should be gaining weight. And speaking of that, I did weigh myself this morning because I am going to try and keep up on that, since I am consuming quite a bit of calories, quote unquote. And I actually lost 2 pounds. All right, so I went from 170 when I weighed myself a couple days ago to 168, even though I have been in almost 1,000 calorie surplus for the past few days, and still at a 500 calorie surplus, but I lost 2 pounds, so there's that. Again, I eat intuitively. I have not planned any of this out. I'm just getting food. And I am at 70-30 again. 70% fat, 30% protein. So it's it's been very consistent. Now I am curious on how this is gonna look once I cut out butter, because when I cut out butter, I tend to not eat as much animal fat, like fat from the animal, you know, not dairy. I think it's because it's more satiating. When I eat butter, I just almost crave it and I just consume a lot of it. And with animal fat, I get topped off really easily. So I'm kind of curious to see how that's gonna go. And I guess as soon as I run out of butter, I'll find out. So I got 255 grams of protein today and 268 grams of fat. Vitamin C, 0 across the board. There is no vitamin C in anything I ate today according to Cronometer. Now, like I've said in previous videos, there is trace amounts of vitamin C in animal food, especially like grass-fed beef and grass-fed ruminant animals. It's not much, but it is in there. And if you followed the carnivore diet, you'll kind of know that in the absence of carbohydrates and sugars, you don't need as much vitamin C. Now, if this was a concern of mine, I would consider adding in foods that were higher in vitamin C, specifically things like liver, but I'm not concerned with this, so it's totally fine. Iron, 3 times my RDA. B12, 17 times my RDA. Definitely maxed on B12. Calcium, 30%. It was a little bit low today on calcium. And again, if I want to get more calcium in my diet, eggshell powder, I did a video about that. I could add that in, and just small amounts of that would bump that up to my RDA like almost immediately. Adding in more dairy would be another way to do that, or bone-in fish, you know, like canned salmon with the bone-in, or sardines, something like that would be totally fine. Folate was pretty low, 24%. That's been pretty consistent except for the day I added in organ meats. I know now that if I want that to be in a more optimal range, that's all I have to do is just add in some organ meats. Vitamin A, I actually maxed that out today, 107%, so I'm good there. Potassium, 95%, I'm totally okay with that. B1, 79%. That one's been a little low every single day, I think. I'm not concerned with that. It's still well within range. All my other B vitamins are way up there. Vitamin D, 73%. Now I'm assuming this jumped up because of the salmon. And again, I only added in 4 ounces of salmon, so that's a pretty drastic increase compared to what I have been getting, because it's been in the single digits for, I think, most of the days I've been doing this so far. So yeah, to jump up to 73%, that's kind of what I was saying in my other videos. Seafood is a pretty good source of vitamin D, so that's good to see. And I was also out in the sun for at least a couple hours today, so I got plenty of sunlight. Vitamin E, this is another one. So this one's been pretty consistently low throughout the past few days, and just by adding in 4 ounces of salmon, wild-caught salmon, this jumped all the way up to 62%. So that's pretty awesome, actually. That's a pretty big jump. So I know now that if I want to increase my vitamin E as we go along with this and I start trying to optimize the diet, seafood's one thing I'll definitely start adding in. Vitamin K, that one climbed up a little bit. It's been pretty low, I think somewhere around the 20% range. There was a couple of days it was a little bit lower, but I'm still pretty confident that if I add in more things like cheese and liver, eggs, butter, poultry, things like that, I think that's going to climb up. So I'll have to experiment with that. Copper, iron, maxed out on those. Magnesium, that one actually came up quite a bit, 62% on that one. So I haven't been getting much dietary sources of magnesium. And just by adding in that fish, it looks like that jumped up, which makes sense because the ocean is full of minerals. But when this is low, I'm not concerned about that because I am absorbing magnesium through my skin, which is the most bioavailable form of magnesium. Manganese, still low. That one's chronically low, it looks like. So, like I said kind of yesterday, I don't think that one's going to come up until I add in oysters, mussels, maybe some poultry, eggs, things like that might make it come up a little bit. But again, that's going to have to come with some experimentation. Phosphorus good, potassium good, selenium good, sodium, zinc, good on both those. Going down the list, fats. My omega-3, omega-6 fatty acid ratio is pretty optimal. Omega-3s maxed out and omega-6 is at 35%. So I like to see that. I like to see more omega-3 than omega-6 because omega-3 is anti-inflammatory, whereas omega-6 can be pro-inflammatory. So that's a really good ratio and I'm happy with that. Saturated fats, that one's going to be high. I'm 100% on that. Trans fats, 100%. I'm good with that. Saturated fat, cholesterol is optimal for human health. It is a fundamental requirement. I mean, our brains are like 80% cholesterol. It makes up like 30% of the entire cholesterol in our body. So it's pretty important. All right, protein, going down the list for the protein and amino acids, and they're all well above the RDA by multiple times, just like they have been. Meat is obviously it's a complete protein. There's everything in there that you would possibly need when it comes to protein. So I don't think I'll ever have an issue with those. So yeah, I think that's going to be about it. I mean, again, one small simple change, and we kind of see that adding in certain foods and just basically adding in variation brings a variation of nutrients. And I think that's very important, because if you want a balanced carnivore diet and you really want to meet your RDA on all these vitamins and minerals and all these nutrients, it's probably a good idea to add some variety in there and to kind of balance things out. I mean, if that's not a concern and you just want to eat ruminant meat, there's people that do that, you know, and they seem to be fine. I mean, I do that quite a bit myself. But I think if you really want to optimize, this looks like this might be a way to do it, is just add in variation, try different foods. And like I said before, as we go along, I'm going to be experimenting with different foods. I'm going to be trying to optimize this diet and see if we can make it very, very balanced using only carnivore foods. All right, so that's going to be it. So if you haven't watched the first few videos, make sure you go and watch those. There will be a link in the description below where you can access those, and I might try and put a tile on the screen somewhere. If you haven't done so already, be sure to like, subscribe, join the Apex Tribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the future videos in this series. And I'll see you on day 5. All right, peace out.